are set. We were just telling you that we had a little, I don't know. I'm not going to call it a wager because we didn't actually
we didn't bet
anything, but we were trying to do the over-under on your opening statement up there at the podium, and I was hammering the over. Rome took the under.
I did. I said it. I said it at 5 and some change. You hammered the over. Ben said yes. People got some, they want some explaining here.
We want to hear. This is Alabama.
Coach DeBoer's going to hammer it.
Right.
He's got to do it.
Well, you came in and did a media presentation to us a year ago. I was taking notes, so I got better because of you. That helped me right now.
I didn't do my own self-scout. I did not own self-scout. I got to take that into consideration. 20 minutes. Great job, Coach.
It was great stuff, Coach. When you were asked about the Alabama standard, I thought you handled the question really well, and I just want to dive into that a little bit more. Just what is it like behind the scenes with this team and your message to them? Because I think we all get so, they must be just talking about all this every day. And you guys are working day to day on getting better. How have you seen them respond to your message in that way?
Yeah, well, we know that's what the success of this program's always been on, is there's going to be a lot of attention. There's going to be, we call it noise, right, that surrounds everything we do day to day, the highs, the lows, and really it doesn't matter. We're the ones, I have officially not seen exactly where we came even in the preseason rankings.
It's pretty high. We won't tell you, though.
Okay, I think maybe
number 1.
Like number 3, yeah.
I think that's what I heard. And
Some people have you higher, though.
And it wouldn't matter if we were first or last. In the end, it's about us deciding, what that's going to look like, and us understanding that action, and that's what we've really focused on, is action, not words, but action. Being what it really comes down to. And so action is a lot of things. It's your routines, it's your work habits, it's action in building relationships and all that's going to help us. It's being intentional in all of these things, and action supported by action.
Now, Coach, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty slow to come around to certain things, right, that I believe in or where I'm kind of against. And so I want you to explain to me and bring me closer to how much I'm going to love this second year of Alabama's defense versus some of the mistakes, some of the things we didn't have the success in doing, giving up the big plays over the top of the defense. How are they going to be better? What is it going to look like? How do they look better? How am I going to be feeling about this defense?
Well, there's a lot of positives to build on, right? We were in the top 4 in the country in takeaways, most takeaways in a long time. And so, when I look at that, those are game changing. Like, that's getting the ball back to your offense immediately. I think early in the season there was a lot of times where there were breakdowns, things that we just call them growing pains, and obviously we always take and we own it, because you fell short of either teaching it.
Yep.
But also I think there's just a timeline of things that you put in as far as installation of answers that you want to have that complement what your base scheme is. And so I think personnel, where we were at a year ago compared to where we're at now, we have a much better understanding, and I think that especially in the back half, we're much deeper and more experienced group than we were a year ago. There were some times, and again, I hate saying this because it sounds like excuse. There were some times where we went through a week of practice and we hardly had anyone to be able to put out there in the middle of the season, and the guys grinded through it. It showed me a lot about the want to and the desire, and when you got those type of people that good things can come. You just got to stay the course.
Yes.
Coach, you talked a little bit about being limited in some respects offensively last year, not necessarily because of personnel, but just time on task. Sometimes you were feast or famine when it came offensively. I think that was some of the frustration in watching sometimes, even with the generational talent like Jalen Milroe. You bring in a new offensive coordinator that you've been with. Relationships matter. You talked about that. Talk about just the leap that you expect to see from year 1 and year 2 offensively for your team when it comes to things like not only communication but performance, play calling, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think there's a depth to what you can add to your foundation. Again, kind of like what we were talking about defensively, but there was things that we did well offensively last year and did at a high level. But what are teams going to do? They're going to try to take your best things away from you. And there wasn't enough banked reps. There wasn't enough confidence, that maybe in those critical moments that you had, because you're still incorporate and you're still installing the things that you know you've done years past. It just takes time to be efficient, to execute it. And then there was also just an adjustment to our personnel. That's always going to be the case. I pride ourselves on what we've done adjusting over the years to a team that has better tight ends or a team that has better receivers, being able to get 2 running backs on the field if that's your strength, run versus pass. But Ryan Grubb coming in and just our familiarity with each other, my trust in him that, we've talked through a lot of the problems over the years, and there's a reason why we have that foundation and where we start. But his experiences, even what he did last year in the NFL, man, that's just another level of growth that he's had. Yeah. There's a lot of growth that happens, and so he's brought some more elements to add to what is our foundation that fit our personnel. And the rest of the staff has done a great job getting him up to speed immediately on, hey, this is why we did this. This is what we felt. This is what you're going to see in the SEC. First week, last week. So, I'm excited about that week, year 1 to year 2. That growth should happen anyway, but especially with someone that you've been through the fire with for many years. I think it's going on 13 or 14 years. I'm excited about this season in that capacity.
Coach, it's so hard to build a culture, a locker room in today's world, but you did something extraordinary. You basically retained your roster. How did you do it?
That's a credit to the staff and our players. A staff that is aligned, communicates well, pours into our guys. I think our players understanding that they're going to get developed, and they believe in the development that they're getting from our coaching staff, that there's an experience that they're going to have in this program. And you naturally think football, but it's also the other pieces, the social, the academic experiences, that there's just if you just stay with it, you're going to enjoy the experience, you're going to get developed, and there's going to be some great moments. And it's hard to appease everyone. We have a roster of, 85 scholarships and a bunch of walk-ons, and so, it's hard to appease everyone, but to feel that for the most part, everyone stayed. There's obviously guys getting baited to go places, and they just stayed put. I think that says a lot about our coaching staff, but it also says, a lot about our players and the character they have and them seeing what's the main thing. And that's those areas that I was talking about.
You mentioned Ty Simpson getting first-team reps at quarterback. Will he be your starter?
If we play today, he would be our starter. And so, we announced that kind of after the spring. Right. Nothing's really changed since then. He's done a great job of continuing to grow himself. And that's under the tutelage of, again, Ryan Grubb, Nick Sheridan. Those guys are just pouring all into not just Ty, but our whole quarterback room. I'm excited about the growth of Ty. I think, again, trying to make sure that a guy gets out there and doesn't feel like he's got to be all world, okay, even though we want our quarterback to be more than just a guy that just, distributes the ball. We need him to go out and make plays. And so he'll grow into that. He doesn't need to, prove that and try to do too much. Trust the guys around him, trust his offensive line, trust the receiving core that I think has improved as well. And, just their relationships are important and their continuity, and they're operating on a different level now than what they were a year ago for sure.
Coach, Ben mentioned about being time on task, how you naturally get things a little bit better. For me, I always felt the more I learned the defense, it wasn't like I learned more as much as I learned what I could get away with.
Yeah.
And so now more time on task with you as an Alabama head coach. Besides absolutely learning that you can get away with wearing maybe a black shirt on the sidelines during games, which we know that was a huge deal early. All right. What are some of the other things that you've learned as being more time on task in Tuscaloosa, as being the head coach at Alabama, that maybe not maybe you can just get away with, but things that I don't have to focus on as much, that this is what I can really focus on?
Well, I think there's, as relationships grow, there's trust, right? When you're talking about what you can get away with, or whatever, like it's because you have trust in the guy that's behind you, in front of you, that, man, like I know what our defense is, and I know that this guy knows what our defense is. I can take a calculated risk because I know what I'm seeing in front of me, and 99% of the time the quarterback did this when this happened. And so How does that translate to the other parts, the other areas? It's trust, right?
Yeah.
It's trust that there's reasons why you wear what you wear, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, right? There's reasons, you know.
This is like a good time for you to open your jacket up and show Coach what you're working on the inside.
A little
He's
peacock.
got a botanical garden
I
on
do
the
have a
inside.
botanical garden. Yeah. My daughter picked it up.
He chooses what he wants to wear too.
I just know this was like the hugest, most dumbest distraction I heard from people last week.
You learn the cult. You learn the culture.
You listen to too much talk radio.
Yeah, that's your fault. Go ahead, Ben.
But I think it's just, you know, trusting that, man, you respect what this place is. You respect the game. You know, you respect the people. And as you are around the community, the fan base, the donors, the players, you know, that, man, the heart is in the right place when it comes to myself, our staff, and that, man, there's a competency that they have to where we're going to go out there and just continue to stay the course. We're not going to get caught up in the noise as we started this segment off with. Just, you know, there's a lot of good things that are happening, and we just got to stay with it.
Yeah, Coach, I think you've earned a lot of that respect, and
Sure.
it's really great to see here. We appreciate you spending some time with us. And